What's going on, listeners? It's me, your boy, Will, aka Another Time Hero, your host this week for the Marvelite podcast. And with me, we have our boy, Michael, aka Failwood34. Say hi, Michael.
What a doozy, guys. Glad to be here again.
And we also have with us co-boss man, CJ.
What's good? Your jobs may or may not be on the line, depending on your... I'm fucking kidding. I love you guys.
Please no, CJ.
Get this podcast up to 2,000 views.
You heard it first.
Crack the whip. Crack the whip.
Yeah.
You guys have to perform.
I'm trying to put out more content. I'm working on it, man. The Kong videos be done later tonight.
The Volga Boatman song starts playing because of dragging this podcast. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. It seems like it's been a long time since I've been on the Marvelite.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. We're gonna get nasty this podcast because it's episode 69.
When do we not?
It is a lucky number this episode.
What's so great is that I got to be on Super Friends episode 69 and I got to be on Marvelite episode 69. So that's the double
it's like
nice.
You were the 6. It's like you were the 6 and the 9.
Double nice. Double nice.
Yeah. I got worried for a minute because the Pizza Party podcast, those guys are really cool and they do cartoon stuff, but their episode 69 got like fried.
Oh,
like
no.
It never went up. They had 68 and then 70 because something happened when they tried to record it. It just went to shit. So I got worried.
So that's one of those things where
like,
the hybrid network way has always been, we're going to keep re-recording every time until we get it up.
Yeah.
Like since day one of me being on the channel at least, it's like, even if we fuck it up, we're going to redo it. Like we're not skipping this shit.
We abide by the numbers.
But yeah, we gotta abide by the numbers, dude. I mean, part of the thinking is like, if 69 never goes up, like, did it really happen? It's like, no. So we're gonna redo it.
Okay.
It's like,
before we get through all the pleasantries and whatnot, I want to remind our listeners that they can get 10% off lootcrate.com with our code BRIDGE10. It's 10% off at lootcrate.com with code BRIDGE10. So how you guys doing?
Specifically, lootcrate.com/hybrid network. Please do that because that'll actually give us money, but yeah, thank you guys. Please do that. If you're gonna get Loot Crate and you like us, like why not? That's my thinking. Just go to that link, type it in, Bridge10, 10% off any subscription. But Will, I do appreciate you doing that because on Super Friends, I'm always the one that has to do that. It doesn't matter if Nick is hosting. Nick is just gonna be like, isn't there something we should mention in the beginning of this episode? And I'm kind of like, what?
Oh yeah, I do it here, so. Yeah,
he's like, I feel like there's something that we should mention before we go any further. And I'm like, huh? What?
But to answer your question there, Will, I'm doing pretty good. Just had a pretty chill day. I actually did like a lecture in front of my class today. I talked about YouTube, so shout out YouTube gang. Went pretty well, and then I just chilled for the most part.
Very nice.
How you doing, CJ?
How about you?
I've been chilling. Is what I've been doing. I got the bio out for today, and that was kind of my one objective. I actually had a rare Wednesday off, so I'm actually replaying Skyrim. But before this becomes the loading bar press play podcast, don't get me started because I'll get lost in talking about that game like I'm currently lost in playing it.
Damn. Well, how about you, buddy?
How are you, Willard?
Boy, tonight is gonna build up to a heavy tomorrow. I told you guys before, but the watchers don't know. So we do these on Wednesdays. And tomorrow will be Thursday, and I have an interview for grad school. What? So hoping that goes well.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I
guys,
also have.
Wish Will some luck in the comment section. When you comment on
man.
Friday, we'll know the answer. So even if it didn't go so well, we'll just say it went well.
We'll say it didn't.
I'll know whenever they email me. But yeah, hoping that goes well. And I also have a read through for this play I'm in, which is it's called The Taming of the Queen.
Can you guess?
Also known as Mad Love.
Can you guess which non-Marvel character Will's playing? Drop a line in the comment section down below. Take a guess. Which character.
I'm not gonna tell you.
No.
I'll put it in the comments after this episode.
I'll give you a hint. It's Marvel's main competitor, a prominent character from Marvel's main competitor. Will be playing.
Also one that I think the actor doesn't want to play anymore. So
that's true. If you listen to the Super Friends podcast, we might talk about that a little bit.
But back onto the Marvel, because this is the
Marvelite podcast. And so while we're talking about spotty subjects here, there is a rumored shortlist for Deadpool 2's character Domino. Ooh. It's a breakdown, not a shortlist. So the breakdown reads, female, all ethnicities. So yay for diversity.
Yay.
Late 20s to early 30s, sexy, lithe, and athletic. Ooh. She has a witty personality. Nina is a no-nonsense badass who rarely shows her feelings. Highly capable, supremely confident, and armored in, well, armor and bulletproof sarcasm. But beneath her shell, she's still a vulnerable and soft, beating remnant of her humanity. This is so weirdly written. And some soft, beating remnant of her humanity remains intact. In this scene, we need to see both sides. When she can't get what she needs, with insults, bluster, and threats, we need to see some of that vulnerability. It's hard for her to let her guard down, and in the mercenary community she grew up in, showing compassion is almost embarrassing. We should feel like she'd be more comfortable killing Silberman than saying please. So, yeah, the reference to her non-mutant.
That's really interesting.
This is coming from comicbook.com. I know Boss Logic apparently did a photo of Kerry Washington as Domino, which I wouldn't have considered that, but now I kind of want to see it.
I mean, it's one of those like picks that you would not. I certainly didn't expect it, but it's like Kerry Washington definitely has a lot of name value right now. She's a really big actress.
Mm-hmm.
This might be more of like a Fox pick, like for trying to see like, okay, what's the demographic like that we didn't really get in the first Deadpool movie that we might be able to attract with the second Deadpool, and that's kind of the audience that watches stuff like Scandal on Thursday nights. Which would be my mom.
An interesting audience to pull in. No. Yeah, that'd be my sister.
There you go. So everybody coming in.
Scandals is really blowing up right now.
Scandals
let's get them
huge.
to come.
Oh my god! Like let's get Scandal on the show. Just the entire cast.
let's just get the Scandal.
It's worth.
With that, there's also they posted a date that says Deadpool 2 is supposed to come out March 2nd, 2018. I haven't heard. Comicbook.com is the only site that's reporting that. So
yeah,
hey, they got the scoops.
I think they're kind of just describing. Fox has already set out, as is the practice with major studios. You stake out your dates for theater releases way in advance, and so Fox did have March 2nd, 2018 staked out way in advance, and I think people are just kind of assuming, given the fact that Deadpool 2 is going to start production pretty soon. March 2nd, 2018 might be the date. I don't know if that's like been officially confirmed yet. That's what we were kind of trying to sort out pre-show. Mm-hmm. We were debating a little bit. It's worth noting on this this description though. It comes from that hashtag show, and no knocking them. I see them as a little hit and miss. Like I love those guys, but they've been on before. Like I can't knock them for that. They've gotten some stuff right, but they've also been wrong before. And so the one thing that I'm kind of drawn to in this description that I don't see as maybe correct is the fact that they call her Nina. And Domino is Nina. I want to say Nina Thurman is her name.
Yep.
Casting breakdowns, you usually never see the real name. It's usually like if it was going to be Nina, they'd be like, oh, Nancy is a no-nonsense badass or something like that. They'd pick a name that's close but not exact.
Yeah,
they might have picked it maybe because most people just know her as Domino, except for
potentially
comic fans.
Yeah,
which is potentially, but because I didn't know that till just now. So.
But it's one of those things where they definitely usually don't put the real name in there. But I mean, you're kind of right. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I just say like with a grain of salt, like
it's a grain of salt.
Yeah, grain of salt time, like a big shaker of that iodized goodness.
Athletic, witty, matured. Diverse, give me it. I'm excited for this.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the character. If they're
sounds. My bad.
No, it sounds pretty in line with what I'm used to seeing from her, and I'm excited to see her with Deadpool in the universe.
Yeah, I was gonna say that just off of face value, this just sounds like Michelle Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Just
True.
like a character that she'd probably play. Just grow her hair out a little bit. I'm sure she could probably pull it off, but. I mean, yeah. I mean, do we have anything else to say? I mean, I'd love to see Kerry Washington or Michelle Rodriguez take on this role. The all ethnicities part kind of caught me by surprise. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Domino's in like makeup and face paint, so it's one of those things where she you could probably have any race, any ethnicity really play the role. What's really interesting is going back to this original article from comicbook.com from actually Valentine's Day, which was just yesterday. But Sienna Miller has apparently already passed on the role, so is Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Yeah. They were saying, what's really interesting is I'm reading through this right now because I just clicked on the link. So I guess they were looking for, trying to find the late 20s, early 30s is kind of the range they're looking for. Kerry Washington, probably on name value alone, is kind of shirking that because she's 40. I mean, she looked really young. But
Black don't crack, bro.
Miller
Just don't age.
and Gugu Mbatha Raw are both kind of like mid 30s. So it's like, it's one of those things. I don't know.
She could pull it off because Ryan Reynolds is in his 40s.
Yeah, it's one of the. I mean,
the age would kind of make sense.
Kerry Washington looks. She does not look like she's 40. Let's just say that.
No.
So it could be anyone. I don't know.
Yeah, Michael, you got any last thing to say about Kerry Washington potentially being Domino? Scan Domino.
I didn't really expect that or see it coming, but I'm all game for it.
Yeah, so staying in the realm of movies, I think we'll go with this one first. Is we got some concept art for Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. So let's start with the art for Thor Ragnarok. You guys have that?
I do.
Access to that?
I don't have it right in front of me, but I talked about it yesterday, or not yesterday. Yesterday, as of this recording, but a couple of days ago for the news flashes because I did both of those. So.
Yeah, but we have some pretty crazy art. I forgot that Sam Neill got confirmed for this movie. I forget if they announced who was playing or not. But we have art of Thor, the Hulk in battle armor wielding like an axe and a sword, fighting Thor. We have another one of Thor of Hulk with an axe and a giant hammer. And we also have art of Hela.
Oh yes,
who looks pretty menacing. Yeah. So Michael, have you seen the art?
Yes, I have seen the art. I'm all down for it, man. It looks so dope. Interesting. Yeah, one of the most interesting one was Hela. They were in like the New York setting, which would have looked like.
Yeah.
They look like in the middle of an alleyway.
They were kind of they were kind of in an alleyway.
Yeah.
Which was really weird because they were in an alleyway, but Thor and Loki were both like fully like Asgardian suited up. Like they both had like the traditional Asgard costumes on.
Yeah, so like to me, I'm like that screams. Oh, they were looking for Odin or whatever because we know that's going to be a main plot pointer at some point that's going to be addressed in the film with Loki and Thor. But maybe they have to revisit Earth again, and then she pops up or something.
Well, maybe what I'm wondering is, will this like magically settle the question? It's like, does Thor have to take his armor off, or is there some kind of like Asgardian like incantation where it's like, bam, now I'm in street clothes. So when Hela shows up, could he just be like, Azarath Metreon Synthos, and suddenly he's wearing the full suit of armor, and it's like, so they don't actually have, because I could see Loki could just do like some wave of the hand, and suddenly he's wearing like his helmet with the staff and like the big overcoat. That's like completely fine. But Thor, usually it's just like that's something that happens between scenes. It's like, oh, suddenly he's it's like, hey, he's got all the armor on, and it's like, nope, then he's butt naked in the desert, going off the first Thor movies, but.
And also this gladiator image, we actually have Thor with his helmet on, but not his typical Asgardian armor. It has a lot of blue lines to it, and kind of there's a purple mist around them. But they're in the middle of like a coliseum, so I can only assume this is Sakaar.
It looks like part of the Planet Hulk. I don't think it's been confirmed that it's Sakaar yet. I think it will probably just be called that because that's usually I don't want to call it like a lazy connection, but it's one of those things that's like a no effort thing they could do to make the fans go crazy in the theater.
I mean, his helmet looks good.
I'm joking about that.
Like you're finally getting that like nice old helmet look.
So it's kind of like I don't want to say like a roundabout way of doing it or like a bastardization of the helmet, but it kind of it's giving the fans the helmet while it also kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, you got to wear a helmet now. You're not the God of Thunder anymore. You've been exiled. Good shit, dude.
And something else cool about the those photos is we see Hulk. We always see him in the classic armor.
Out.
He's got like the strap on. He's got two different weapons in both each hand. It just looks really badass.
Strap on.
Yeah, man, he's going hard.
He's going after Thor.
In the arena. I'm going for that booty.
Yeah. So it's that scene of him yelling no from Avengers. He's like, no!
And what I've been wondering is, do you think that Thor's going to be under some kind of spell?
I don't know.
I think Hulk might be.
I honestly, I don't even know if Hulk really is, because I feel like from the original Geek.com report, shout out to Geek.com, the guys that apparently had the inside track on this since like last February. But going back to that, it's like it seems like he's just been in Hulk mode since the end of Age of Ultron, which, as we all know, was 2 years ago now. But so
it'll have been 3 years by the time the movie comes out.
So he's been like Hulk mode for a really long time.
Oh no, 2 years, my bad.
He's just been really frustrated this whole period,
basically sexually. But the Black Widow, or not the Black Widow, well, that's what's on his mind. But the Hulk consciousness is starting to merge with the Banner consciousness, and so he's kind of like reaching this middle ground of like Hulk and Banner. So I feel like
I'm going to put down these weapons. I am content.
It might be one of those things where like he doesn't really realize I don't know if he doesn't realize where he is, but it might just be one of those things where it's he's kind of resigned to his fate. Maybe after a certain point, maybe he's been in the arena a really long time. The really interesting thing to me in the concept art was the fact that in that unfinished VFX shot, Hulk has the big shoulder pauldron on his arm, but he isn't armored up completely like he is in that other concept art image. Where he's fighting Thor, and he's got like the straight out of Planet Hulk armor on, where like I think it's his left arm is completely armored up, and he's got the axe and stuff like that, and he's got the tiara on, whereas in the other, like the VFX shot, he's just got the pauldron and then the helmet. But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know if he's going to change his look at all, or if maybe the concept art is just concept art, so we shouldn't really be reading into it as much. But I don't know. I'm still going to read into it.
And with the concept art for Infinity War, I think we basically got confirmed because he has Yarnborn for that, or is that the Ultimate Mjolnir?
1610, I think it's Ultimate Mjolnir. It hasn't been confirmed, but that's just what, because I think there was another picture that surfaced of Chris Hemsworth holding the Ultimate Mjolnir.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're two different. I think the set photo like kind of conceals it a little bit, so you're not too sure.
It did.
And I think the one where it's just Chris Hemsworth holding it. It was like full out half hammer, half axe.
Because the concept art, it was funny because I finally, so I was at work when they dropped that the Facebook video, and then they posted it on YouTube, so I couldn't really see it. I was just skipping ahead, and I was like, yeah, somebody needs to newsflash this. But when I finally got to sit down and watch the video, it's like they're panning, and it cuts off right before you see what would be like the end of like, yeah, this is definitely the 1610 hammer. But then I guess there was that photo of Chris Hemsworth holding it. It's like, oh shit, maybe it is actually Ultimate Thor.
But yeah, and we also get to talk about the Black Panther concept art. So that kind of, they snuck themselves out around the same time.
They did.
Which I think this art is beautiful because most of it is of Wakanda. But so we have like an image of him standing in what it looks like some type of maze or something. There's a lot of greenery. It might be the land of the dead.
So you're starting with that one. I was kind of curious as to which concept art piece you'd start with. That
the one of him under the arch, and then the one of him next to like the fire.
My speculation was that might have been the necropolis, or that might be the entrance to.
Well,
necropolis.
I said the land of the dead.
So. Yeah.
So basically the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious. Like, it looks the square arches. That's something like if you go back and look at like, especially like if you look at the Secret Wars issues where they show off Necropolis, because that's where they were keeping Black Swan and all that. There are some square arches there, but the rest of it, I mean, there are some people in the background. If you look at the concept art image, so it's like we don't really know if that is. There's nothing that really tells us one way or the other. But I mean, I know I literally like didn't freak out more in a scene from Civil War because I watched it with Josh. I didn't freak out more in a scene than I did when Black Panther was like, "In my culture, death is not the end," and I literally was just slapping Josh's arm repeatedly, like, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit!" My brother was sitting next to Josh, and he was like,
fans,
"What?"
There's a connection.
My brother was sitting next to us, and he was like, "The fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "This is big. Trust me, this is big." But
this is not the end.
If you look in the corner of the one with the arch, you can actually see like a small batch of what I'm assuming Wakanda people there. So it's not. I don't think it's like a place that's hidden.
No, there are a couple of people that are like chilling there. Like you can see, there's people. I think I saw, like, after looking at it for a while, there are like 2 or 3 different like little clusters of people that are standing there. So it might not be. But it kind of stands out from the rest of the images of the, what I guess is the capital city that we see.
There's the one of him staring over some kind of smoky area. Both of them have his like armor very hidden, but he's like prepped and ready. Another one looks like vibranium mines. Like I'm almost certain.
That's what I was thinking. It kind of looks like a quarry. Was my first guess, but then we've never really seen like raw vibranium. So,
Yeah.
you know, it could be a vibranium mine. Like, I guess because Claw is going to be involved, there's a good chance it's going to be a vibranium mine. But yeah,
we got the one of him riding a car, so I'm assuming that's the rumored car chase. And then we have quite a few city shots, and the art of the city is just, the architecture is super. I'm trying to find the word to describe it. It's like, it's not Afro-punk, but it's Afro-futuristic.
for sure.
Because like I can tell by the architecture from images I've seen of like actual very rich African cities that this is definitely a mix of just like African architecture from the small parts of the town that kind of are more hutted. They're a lot more like clay type of architecture, and right behind it is like high tech super city. I'm like, and just people walking through the streets or having cars and traveling and whatnot, and just the aesthetic of it all just fits kind of my image of what the Golden City would be like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. I love the fact that they didn't just make it like 100% like super Afro-futuristic. Well, futuristic in any regard, because you can see it's a great mix of like the skyscrapers and what I assume is like the palace in some of these images is really futuristic, as is befitting Wakanda being literally the most technologically advanced nation on Earth in Marvel Comics. There's also they're not going to shy away from the fact that Wakanda is also just really steeped in tradition and culture, and they have they adhere to that. So you can see, I think one of my favorite things was the melding of that and the fact that they have a lot of these old, what look like very traditional kind of like mud and sun-baked huts, that are just now encased in glass, because people still live there. I guess people still are there, but they're preserved. They're kind of kept to a standard. They've taken steps to be like, yeah, we came from here. We're moving up, but this is still a huge part of who we are. And I like that that's not completely like gone. I like that it's not just this super sci-fi futuristic city. It's because that would be like, I think a huge mistake as far as the comics are concerned.
Yeah, I mean they have like some type of glass covering around them, so maybe those are like solar panels.
Maybe.
Or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't put it past
no,
them.
Yeah.
There's also this really pretty one of it's a bunch of statues, and behind them, I think it has the 4 gods of Wakanda.
That would be cool.
I'm not sure.
What's funny is you mentioned that they might be statues. I assumed that was just like they didn't render out the people fully, or like these are actual people.
Oh, you might be right.
It's just like a council room with one throne. Because you can see like...
there is a throne there.
Yeah, if you look at it, there's one dude that's sitting like way above, not like way above, but he's definitely like on a raised platform with people sitting around him. And it could be statues. I didn't even consider that as a possibility. I kind of just assumed it was like, oh, we're not going to render all this out.
Because and behind them there's kind of those wall paintings of that kind of looks like a panther or a horse or something, and another one looks like a fish. But I only remember 3 of the gods. I remember there's Bast, or the crocodile one, there's an ape one, and I forgot what the 4th one was. I think it's a bird. But yeah, Michael, you got any opinions on all these nifty art piece photos?
They look good. I'm excited for the movie.
Same, man, same. Yeah, I hope this is one of the better, if not the best, films in Phase 3, at least until maybe Infinity War. Because if the art and the casts and direction is any judgment, it's shaping up to be good. CJ, Michael, you got any last thing to say about this before we move on?
I'm excited for this movie. I think honestly the concept art is like better than I could have hoped. I really liked that earlier stuff where it looked like it was just this meteor crater that had kind of been hollowed out, and it looked honestly weirdly like it was like a swamp city, where it was like this marshland that people have built like skyscrapers on. And that just seemed a little too futuristic for me. I actually think this is like the perfect melding of futuristic and traditionalist. As I was saying, it looks like how Wakanda looks in the comics to me. Maybe a little different because it's being realized on screen, but I think it's the closest we could ever get, and I'm really excited for it.
I just hope that these concept arts actually end up coming through, or at least a good majority of them, because as we've seen before in not just Marvel films, in DC and other films, the concepts a lot of the times are like, oh, these look so cool, why didn't they follow through?
Exactly. Like Zemo comes to mind from Civil War, where he's like decked out in like the traditional, he's got the mask on and like the suit with the overcoat and stuff like that. And it's like, well, we just never got to see that in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with the plot they went with for Zemo, it kind of would have been a waste to have him have like the sword and everything.
I wouldn't even have minded if they threw him in the last sequence. That would have been just like, why not?
Black Panther would have just been
unless you had
like
a fight scene with Black Panther. Yeah, if you had a fight scene.
Who's the fairy guy?
There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm cool with it. So I just hope a majority of it comes through.
I agree.
But yeah, before we get to our last topic, I want to remind our listeners that they can get 10% off lootcrate.com. Was it lootcrate.com/hybrid network?
It is.
With our code Bridge10, it's 10% off with code Bridge10 at lootcrate.com/hybrid.
I'm so proud. I honestly love the fact that I've had to do like 0 in this podcast.
Oh yeah, dude! When you come over here, I'm the one.
Will
that does
takes
them all,
care of you.
basically.
You come in, and Will just does everything that needs to be done. I like this. This is
Got to give him the boyfriend
There you
treatment.
go.
Is what I call it. But our last topic has to do with TV news for characters that I mostly care about. So first one, we have Cloak and Dagger, who has 6 additional members to their cast. So we have Andrea Roth from Rescue Me and Blue Bloods will be Melissa Bowen, Tandy's mom, who is the eternal optimist despite the struggles to adapt to her new existence. While complex and emotionally composed, her love for her daughter burns bright. We have Tyrone's mother, Adina Johnson, will be played by Gloria Rubin from ER and Mr. Robot. Miss Johnson invests every aspect of her being into giving her son the life she believes he deserves, but she props up and protects Tyrone so much she almost forgets to love him. Miles Musenden from Bloodline and Queen Sugar, which I still need to see, will star as Tyrone's father, Michael Johnson, who trudges through his desk job to keep his family safe and happy. Mr. Johnson is a working-class father, does what he can to ensure his son will grow up to be a great man. Liam will be played by Carl Lundstedt of Grey's Anatomy and Conviction. A lot of melodrama actors
for
here.
sure.
Assault of the Earth townie who operates as Tandy's partner in crime while moonlighting as her boyfriend. But underneath his rough-around-the-edges appearance, Liam has big dreams. Portrayed by James Sato from Life of Pi and The Devil's Advocate, we have Dr. Bernard Sanjo. He's been an emotional cornerstone in Tyrone's life. They have a most unusual friendship. And finally, we have J.D. Evermore from True Detective and The Walking Dead. Will take the part of Detective Connors, who is a contradiction of a man, embracing an intimidating persona that overcompensates for a secret he keeps close to the vest. So, this rumor, well, not rumor, if this part is true about Liam being Tandy's boyfriend, I will be severely let down, because it's not like the Ultimates.
You'll be severely let down because you find it severely lacking.
Yes.
There you go.
But do we have any thoughts on these? Personally, I don't know any of these actors or actresses.
I mean, I'm not surprised you kind of say...
I've heard of their shows.
Yeah,
but...
you kind of mentioned some of the Grey's Anatomy stuff and the melodrama, and I don't think anybody should be surprised considering the fact that this is coming on Freeform, which used to be ABC Family, and this kind of reminds me a little bit of like, I don't want to like scare anybody away from the show. I'm probably going to tune in for the premiere, but... It kind of is reminding me of like the Secret Life of the American Teenager almost in like how it's being set up and kind of I feel like
I actually like that show.
Yeah, I mean I didn't hate it. I never really tuned in for it. I think I watched like the first season and then was like but I wouldn't be surprised and kind of maybe there's some social commentary that like the level of social commentary I'm expecting from the show is not that different. It's going to be really drama heavy, really tailored to the drama.
With the cast they have here, because none of these are like casual shows. You have like Grey's Anatomy, Queen Sugar, Blue Bloods, Mr. Robot. Like
no, you're not gonna have anything. What I'm really interested in is I think this is gonna be like the Marvel. I will be really interested to see how big of a role Marvel TV plays, and the way you'll be able to tell that I think is how dramatic it really turns out to be, like how melodramatic maybe I should say it really turns out to be, because I feel like Marvel TV has never really done that before.
That'd be interesting to see them do something a little bit more serious. I mean, the characters aren't really that lighthearted to begin with. Like kidnapping and drugs and they fighting gang violence and stuff.
They operate in a pretty real and a pretty dark space of Marvel Comics, and it's honestly, in terms of like properties that could be developed, I think this is like one of the realest real world properties that Marvel could ever really develop, either for small screen or for big screen. And it's one of those things where it's going to be really interesting to see how much they give into like the melodrama and how much focuses on, that real, actual, like the real drama that comes from some of the real life consequences they're talking about. I personally am hoping it's not too like Grey's Anatomy soap opera level dramatic, because that'll make it much more enjoyable for me to watch. Sorry for any of you listening that enjoy Grey's Anatomy.
But hey, man, they could corner that audience.
Like that.
They could.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with me.
They could. Maybe this is part of the long game. It's a long plan. They're going to bring in people for future Marvel projects, maybe Marvel movies and Marvel TV, by getting them with this one. This is going to be the Grey's Anatomy of Marvel projects, and then they feel like they're conditioning the audience.
Scares me.
There you go. They're conditioning the audience to go see Marvel movies.
But along with that, as soon as the page decides to load, so we also have a cast list for the Pride that Marvel themselves actually released, showing that they actually kind of give a shit about the Runaways show. All right, so their page says, "Meet the Pride." All right, yeah. Marvel Television announced today the group of actors set to portray the Pride, aka the parental characters, in Marvel's Runaways, a highly anticipated project with popular streaming service Hulu, which that disappoints me, but okay. So who do we have as the parents? We have Ryan Sands from Hat Hair and The Wire as Jeffrey Wilder, is a man defined by the grueling path he's taken to achieve his self-made success. A hulking presence, Jeffrey can effortlessly shift from approachable father to intimidating strategist with his son, Alex. We have Angel Parker from The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, and The Strain as Catherine Wilder. A successful lawyer is deliberate and calculating in both her words and actions, but when it comes to her family, she's fiercely loyal and a loving mother to her son, Alex. We have Brittany Ishibashi from This Is Us and TMNT Out of the Shadows as Tina Minoru, a perfectionist tiger mom. In her professional life, she is a brilliant innovator and ruthless CEO. Emotionally, she is less confident, often shying away from difficult conversations with her daughter Nico, and careful to avoid explicit displays of feelings. James Yaegashi from Breakfast at Tiffany's on Broadway and Madam's Secretary as Robert Minoru, a gentle and brilliant beta. Whoa. the Waz to his wife's jobs. Warm and feeling, Robert sometimes struggles with being married to a woman who so forcefully barricades her emotions while caring about Nico. Kevin Wiseman from Hello Ladies and Alias as Dale Yorks, a beardy, dad-core bioengineer. Incredibly science-minded, he has a deep love for his family but often falls short at knowing the right things to say to Gert. And Bridget Brenna from Army Wives and True Colors as Stacey Yorks, an absent-minded and professional bioengineer, perpetually donning Birkenstocks and a messy bun. Stacey utilizes a progressive approach to her parenting style to Gert. Annie Wershing from Timeless and The Vampire Diaries as Leslie Dean, a complicated beauty, is a poised and skilled leader, clear-minded, focused, and charismatic. Leslie draws in devoted allies and followers who are taken by her success and charm, particularly with her daughter Carolina. Kip Pardue from Remember the Titans and Ray Donovan as Frank Dean, a former teen star who wrote a short-lived movie career and is now teeming with insecurity. Sounds almost like the actor. Floundering in his professional career as an actor, Frank is seeking to renew purpose in his life with being a father to Carolina. Here's the big one. James Marsters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel as Victor Stein, an engineering genius who may just save the world from itself. Electric cars, space travel, the military, and NASA both look to him for answers. As a father to Chase, Victor has lofty expectations for his son, and when they aren't met, his retribution can be fierce. Ever Carradine. Is she related to David? The Handmaid's Tale and Goliath as Janet Stein, a perfect PTA mom. Harboring a brilliant mind of her own, she has made deep sacrifices for her husband's world-changing career, though she hides it for the well-being of her son Chase. Janet longs for more from life. Oh my god, that's a lot of actors.
That was a lot, yeah.
Round of 10 different parents?
Handling all that.
But
one
man.
individual clap.
Thank you, Michael. So, what do we think? From what I'm looking at so far, these are pretty spot on for the parents from what I remember from the comic books. And they look like them too. Bald black dad. Attractive black as mom. Oh my god, but what do you guys think about this?
Very detailed, very thorough, very good.
I mean, I'm kind of really. This is one of the Marvel shows that I'm really the most interested in, specifically because of like the Hulu connection.
Yeah, the diversity.
The diversity is great. I mean, the diversity has been there since the comics, so I kind of was.
That's from the series.
I was going to be really disappointed if it wasn't diverse, but
Runaway, starring 6 white kids,
basically, specifically, and I mean they gender bent Nico Minoru, as well. That's the one thing that kind of sticks out in my head, but at least
they did.
I think so,
No,
didn't they?
No, they race bent. I think Carolina.
I might be wrong, but the
guys, instead of saying Ben, let's say swapped. I'm just
swapped.
Well, yeah, or Gert, not Gert.
Bent, but no, the
Molly got race bent. That's what it was. Molly was white. Now she's Latina.
There it is. That's actually true. I do remember that now. The diversity has always been there, and I'm kind of glad that it's even more represented in the show. I'm really interested to see what this Hulu series looks like. I think Hulu has had some good shows in the past. They're also kind of like newcomers. Like Netflix has this established trend of doing like original content that I feel like Hulu doesn't really have, unfortunately. And so I'm going to be really interested to see.
They don't have their it shows yet. I think the only one I can think of is what was it, 11/22/56 or whatever. The one about the
11/22/63 or something like that. With James Franco.
I think that's maybe.
I've heard The Path with Aaron Paul is actually really good too. I haven't checked that out yet, but I've heard that's pretty good.
And that other one about Nazis, I think.
I think you're thinking of Man in the High Castle from Amazon.
Yeah, that's Amazon. Never mind.
I'm waiting for the Marvel Amazon show, but no, maybe the Invaders will go to Amazon. You heard it here first, but I really am really interested to see, partially from like a production design, how much quality is going to go into the production. From that standpoint, just to see like how is Hulu running the show? How is Hulu, like, how different, like, are we going to be able to tell, like, oh, this is definitely a Hulu production, it's definitely not Netflix, because Netflix wouldn't have done this or this or this. So that's the one thing I'm really watching. But other than that, it sounds good. It sounds pretty right to me. I did not kind of come up with The Runaways. It was one of the books that I read, kind of after we started the YouTube thing, that I hadn't really, I don't want to say grown up with, but it's not something that I have a ton of experience with, so I'm not as passionate about it as I know a lot of people are. But, it checks the boxes for me, so I kind of want to know what the audience thinks.
Yeah, I mean, I have very specific memories of Runaways because it was like one of the first comics I picked up when I was a wee tot.
I was a wee lassie.
So, but even still, I didn't like end up I didn't stay consistent or finish it. I just remember a couple chapters from early on, and they made me interested. But the cast looks pretty spot on. A lot of people I don't know other than James Marsters.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only one. I know, like, I've heard of the things they were in, like Vampire Diaries and stuff like that, but I don't really know the actors. So same thing with the cast for the show. So it'll be Marvel's kind of expanding a lot of their other rosters to have no names. So just hit me up anytime.
There you go.
But Michael, what do you think?
Give me that Runaways. It's one of those properties that I haven't been really I'm not too knowledgeable in, I'll be honest. But from the premise that I've heard from people, it sounds like an interesting batch of people. And I think Marvel imploring that. I'm not too sure about the video, like the service that they're providing it on. If that'll be to their advantage. But I think it's a property that might actually resonate with some people and do pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know too many people with Hulu. But...
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think Hulu works in Canada. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Damn.
Because I'm pretty sure I've tried it and it didn't work.
But now with that, we come to the last part of the show while we're slowly running on low time. We have your questions. So, our first question is from Waru, who asks, ask Marvelite, who is the Yamcha of the X-Men other than Morph? Damn.
So what's funny is, like, prior to today, when I was doing research for the Legion character bio, which you should all go check out, I would have said, like, Iceman, but apparently Iceman is an Omega level mutant.
Yeah, no, he can freeze the world shut.
Which basically was, like, kind of a shocker to me. So I was like, well, I guess it's not Iceman.
I mean, Morph is basically male Mystique, and he died.
Yeah.
To answer that question, I'm gonna say my favorite punching bag, Alpha.
Yeah. Okay. Well, shit. That was fucking would have been my answer too.
Alpha had nearly infinite potential and was squandered by being a shitty character.
Shitty sidekick.
Yes.
Oh well. I'm gonna say Alpha
I'm gonna go and say Blob.
Damn.
Yeah.
Let me think of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Oh, who's really?
Of the X-Men, my bad. Alpha's not a. Well, he is a mutant.
I don't want to say like. I don't want to say like Forge because
I'm gonna say Toad then.
Toad. Well, Toad is
X-Men.
Brother. He's a Brotherhood character.
He's a Brotherhood.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like so he's talking about like the way I'm thinking Waru's question is the way like Yamcha is to the Z
Jubilee.
fighters, who's like the weakest link of the X-Men in particular.
Jubilee, because no one knows what to do with
That's
her.
actually a good
She
answer.
doesn't even know what to
Dazzler.
say because she doesn't speak.
Dazzler's another good one. I mean,
Does a mall babe eat chili fries?
see, Jubilee actually is one of those characters where Jubilee is one of my favorite comic book characters in general, but part of that comes from the fact that she is basically the Yamcha of the X-Men. Except for the fact, by the time Days of Future Past rolls around, you realize her power that initially looks stupid of her like creating fireworks and bullshit is actually miniature nuclear explosions that when she's older she can like just create in people's head. So it's like, Will, you're talking shit about Jubilee? Sorry, bro, you're dead.
No, I'm not talking shit.
Sorry,
No, because I know about her. She has,
Fireworks. Katy Perry starts playing.
Yeah, she has a really good power, but like no one knows what to do with her.
I kind of agree with that. I think Jubilee's another good character. Dazzler is another one.
I think we're really alluding that Yamcha has some secret ability that they have yet to show in the
We're giving Yamcha
he's really
too
good at
much
baseball.
credit. But
I mean, Yamcha was a really strong dude until you get to Z, and they're like Super Saiyans. Then he's just worthless.
Then he's just a baseball guy until that random episode in Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, in Dragon Ball Super, it's like shit. We need someone that can play baseball good. I can play baseball.
well, even still, I mean, it's like Yamcha. I mean, he was. Let's dispel with, in the words of Marco Rubio, let's dispel with this fiction that Yamcha really ever did anything. But
He tried to fuck Bulma
Basically.
a lot and failed.
basically,
Damn.
I'm gonna go with Cypher. Cypher is my vote. Cypher fucking sucks.
CJ just came with the savagery.
His power was literally like he was a translator. He was like the X-Men's translator, and it's like, how often does that come? How often is that involved in the comics themselves? Like, how often do they need somebody? And it's like in this day and age, it's like Google translate this shit. But I don't know. But
All right, so
next question.
let's see if we can get through these next few without getting too long. Corey Green asked, "Do you Josh Whedon will ever come back to direct a Marvel movie?"
So
I say no.
Do you think Joss Whedon will ever come back to direct? I vote no.
No. Do you Josh
Do you,
Whedon?
Josh? Do you, Josh Whedon?
Josh Whedon will ever come back?
No.
I'd say no. But
I
I
would
think
say
I think
no.
that boat has sailed.
I think
Yeah, after Age of Ultron,
I think
he's tapped
maybe,
out for
but
a
it's
while.
got to be one of the standalones. It's got to be a like I could see him potentially directing Squirrel Girl. I don't think he's going to come back to something
Yeah.
with like serious like world building implications. The issue is that's like everything.
not until
now.
like a Phase 5,
maybe
maybe not for a
maybe
long
phase
time.
4, maybe phase 5. I'd actually love for him to go get involved in Valiant Cinematic Universe. I think he could do a great job with a Faith movie potentially.
Oh, he would destroy.
yeah.
He would destroy.
that'd
Michael
be good.
knows. He would body the shit out of that movie. But so Joss Whedon potentially, I say, but in the far future.
Michael, you think?
I'd say no. I think he had his time. Even after Age of Ultron came out, all those rumors, and I think he even said it himself, he was like just pooped out.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it's a lot. Like at least the Russo brothers, you can split. Them
There's
between
two
the
of them.
but he
There's
had that
two of
all
them.
in his
They
back.
shoulder
Yeah,
the
you can
load.
split the stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon didn't have a brother to split it on.
Yeah, and I
Well,
feel
he
like the
did. He had
tone,
Jed,
too.
but
I feel like tonally
but
the
Jed
MCU
wasn't there.
Sorry.
Jed didn't get hired. Jed had Agents of Shield.
There you go.
I feel like tonally though, like the MCU now, it's really got that Russo brothers feel to it. So I think just throwing back in Whedon, I don't know if that would necessarily work. I think, like you mentioned, doing a solo endeavor probably would be the best option if possible, but I just don't see him coming back to it, really.
True.
I think he wants to just do bigger and better things. Maybe not necessarily better, but...
Jalen asks, which comic book writer do you despise in writing or just in general?
I have an answer for this one. It's not a Marvel writer, though. I can't really think of a Marvel writer that I just hate.
I don't have anyone that I, like, specifically hate, but I do have writers that get on my nerves a lot. Like, my issue with Brian Michael Bendis, I'm not going to go on a long diatribe, it's just that I know he can be good. I've seen him be good many, many times, and the problem is he keeps disappointing me.
Well, I mean, part of the issue is I feel like he can be good with characters that are naturally short and quippy. Like, Alias worked because it's like you could imagine Jessica Jones being this short, quippy character, and that's literally his writing has become that character in so many ways. But there are a lot of characters that he writes that way that just aren't that way. That's just who Brian Michael Bendis is, and unfortunately, that's not who a lot of those characters are.
But not necessarily hate, but whoever wrote Hellcat, the new one, I put the book down 4 pages in just because it has to do with my issue with Marvel now. If you're gonna write like feminist comics or comics with a feminist standpoint, there's a way to do it, and it's not with overtness. It's with an air of subtlety and less overtness as part of the character. Like Kamala Khan makes sense because she's a high schooler.
Truth.
You got me there.
I vote. It's not a Marvel actor, but this was just about Marvel. I guess we're on the Marvel podcast, but my answer is Scott Lobdell, and I hate Scott Lobdell because Teen Titans, the New 52 run, was literally the worst book I've ever read in my life. It was the worst. I mean, it's one of those where like Will was like, "Oh, I put that down," like the Hellcat book 4 pages in, and I was like, "No." I read several issues of Teen Titans New 52, and it just never got better.
Yeah.
Never.
Michael, do you
Bunker,
have a
that's all I
writer
need
you
to
hate?
say, and I just triggered like half. Of the comic book community.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. I just when Brian Michael Bendis doesn't write Miles too well, I get pretty frustrated. But
fucking Gwen and Miles, but that's for another
Hey,
day.
you know what, man? Tomato.
Tomato.
Yeah. Anyways,
Do we want to do this last question real quick, like just with a one-word answer?
Sure. One word answer. When do you think we will see Iron Fist costume? By the end of the season, just like Daredevil, or in Defenders? Defenders. What do y'all think?
I would say Defenders.
Thank you, Andre, for your question. I actually am going to go the opposite mode. I say Iron Fist Season 2. So I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to see it in Iron Fist Season 1 because I think we've seen the promo art for Defenders and he doesn't have it. And then I don't think he's going to get it in Defenders either. So sorry.
Well, they're still filming. There's a chance.
I love Iron Fist. I
Michael,
hope he
what you
gets the
think?
costume, and I feel really bad if he doesn't. But sad face. But
Mikey, what's your one word answer so we can close?
Yeah, I
this?
said I think Defenders.
defend
Okay,
us.
two for Defenders. All right then. So this has been the Marvelite podcast. I have been your host Will, and I'm signing off for Michael, Fail134, and our co-boss man CJ. So don't forget to
You
like,
guys did well
comment
enough today. We're gonna be back for another episode next week.
Yes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and drop questions down below with the hashtag AskMarvelite. We will see you all next week.
Adios.
Peace.